just for me to share with the people who couldn't join later on. All right, recording started. All right, welcome guys to our GenAI in FinTech and EdTech meetups. This is our 6th virtual events in 2025. We had a whole bunch last year. In tonight's session, this is going to be a very exciting one. We're going to have a live demonstration of RAG. For those of you guys don't know what RAG stands for, that's Retrieval-Augmented Generation. I'm sure our lovely guest speakers will explain more in details what they are. It's very powerful AI mechanisms to help reduce AI hallucination, which is on the top of many people or companies' minds when they're trying to adopt GenAI. So we're going to have a live demonstration of that RAG model, sort of using not building, but just really how to apply that in a real context, and potentially showing you a customized sort of a development model, what that could look like for a very simple fintech and potentially some other HR or other use cases. Yeah, and for those of you guys who are new to this meetup, I saw in the registration we had like more than 50 people who are actually new to our meetup. So my name is Kurt Young. I'm the founder of this GenAI in FinTech and EdTech meetup, and also your host for tonight. I'm a digital product manager by trade, but I'm also very passionate about both lean product management and also GenAI technology application in financial services and also education sector. Hence why I create this meetup. This meetup group or this community is dedicated to discuss and share the latest trends, best practices, use cases, and also potentially regulatory considerations for GenAI applications in financial services and also education industry in Australia and globally. I'm actually having some global guest speakers lined up, so just to stay tuned on that. Before we officially kick off, I would like to start with a quick acknowledgement of country. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting here tonight. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and I also extend that respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here tonight. A couple of quick housekeeping rules before we start. Please feel free to raise your questions in the chat area, which we'll be monitoring that during the chat, and our guest speakers will either address them during their presentation or after, so feel free to leave them in the chat. And please mute yourself while either me or the guest speaker is presenting. And also, as mentioned earlier, the session is currently being recorded for future sharing and learning purposes. Without much further ado, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce our two lovely guest speakers tonight. They're both from a consulting company called iProgrammer Solutions. The first one is Parag. That's the gentleman wearing the red shirt. Just wait. That's Parag Agrawal. I hope I pronounced your last name right. Is that right?
It's actually Parag Agrawal.
Oh, there we go.
Agrawal.
Thank you.
But it's okay. You can simply call me Parag.
Parag, yeah. So Parag is a co-founder and product engineering expert at iProgrammer, working at the intersection of AI and enterprise platforms, with over 15 years experience in helping companies adopting technology in fairly practical and cost-effective ways on several AI transformation projects, including RAG, which is Retrieval-Augmented Generation, the stuff we're going to be talking about tonight, as well as document intelligence, customer service automation, a few other areas. Parag focus on demystifying GenAI and also make it accessible for real-world implementations. The other guest speaker is Aveer. Aveer, you want to just wave to the guys? So yeah, this is Aveer Revankar. Am I right? I just want to make sure I pronounce the name right. Yeah. Aveer is a passionate technology enthusiast, also from iProgrammer, with over 7 years experience in building and deploying practical AI-driven solutions across various domains, with deep expertise in machine learning, NLP, natural language processing, and also computer vision. He specializes in solving real-world problems using the most effective approaches, ranging from intelligent automation and simple RAG models to complex multi-agent orchestration systems as well. All right. I don't know who's presenting first, so I'll just over to you, gentlemen, so you guys can work out the sequence accordingly.
Sure. Yeah.
Thanks a lot for the warm introduction, Kurt. Lovely group of people over here. We are really looking forward to an insightful session. Hopefully, everyone gets the right takeaways from this session. And if there are any follow-up questions, feel free to mention it in the chat. We'll try and address them as and when we could. All right. So, guys, the world has been talking about AI and Gen AI in specifics, right? We are here to try and attempt to demystify it for you to a certain extent, see how AI can be used in your day-to-day activities, help you do things faster, better, in a more productive manner, releasing a lot of your time to do a lot more work, a lot more other interesting stuff. So the baseline that we'll be talking about predominantly in today's session is revolving around the usage of RAG, which in combination with GenAI can really democratize organizational knowledge, which has been acquired in organizational memories over the years and spread it across the length and breadth of our stakeholders. So yeah, over to Aveer.
Yeah, I'm just sharing a link which I've created a small easy guide of how we can actually.
Yeah. So guys, as part of the demo, as part of today's session, we are also going to be showcasing or demonstrating a small demonstration of using a simple RAG to extract and to start talking to a document and extracting information out of it. So what Aveer has shared is a small link wherein you can get instructions how you can set it up yourself and also build it along the way or use it along the way as we do it.
Hey, Parag, would like one of you guys mind also just to copy and paste that link in the chat just so that people can later
We
on.
just did that.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Perfect. So I'll just move ahead and I'll set the stage just to understand what is AI, what is LLM, what is generative AI as a concept. Whenever nowadays when we thought about what AI is 5 years, 4 years back, it was just a robot who is trying to mimic like a human and do some automation work that we do on day-to-day lives. Similarly, as organizations like Tesla, Nvidia have worked on a very huge scale, and luckily they have kept most of their systems open source, so we can leverage their intelligence and use them in our day-to-day lives just to enhance our productivity. So everything started from machine learning when some of our scientists understood that we have much amount of data on which we can do some predictions, we can do some analysis, and eventually create something that is useful for us in terms of intelligence. And by gathering this whole data, the newer generation, like in the 2020s, we created a concept called language models. So what is a language model? A language model again is a set of a big data set created of all the data entries that is available open source, which we can use to understand, we can use to contextualize it, create summaries, generate emails, and much more activities on our day-to-day lives as well as onto an organizational level.
So just to intervene over here, guys, traditionally machine learning basically use statistical methodologies to identify meaningful patterns and give you the insights. Learning using the machine learning on your data set. Eventually, what as an extension of that used to be AI, wherein the model that you trained using machine learning on your data starts learning on its own and starts improving its responses on its own. Eventually one particular vertical of it in recent times, which has been very popular, is LLM. We used to have, I'm sure all of you must have had some exposure to chatbots or using Dialogflow, TensorFlow, and the likes over the past decade or so. These essentially were basically models or platforms which could interpret and understand and have conversations with you in simple English, right? It was able to interpret your statements, your sentences, and respond back in plain English. LLMs are an extension of those very models, but they have been trained on an extremely large data set. Probably one way of claiming is that they have been trained on the entire web. So every information and every content out there on the web has served as a training data set to make the language interpretation of these LLM models a lot more humane and more lifelike, right? So today's LLM model, to a large extent, can understand your statements, can understand your context in a much more powerful and accurate way as compared to half a decade ago. And that's what has been powering a lot of use cases nowadays in the organizations. So the way it interprets language, the way it responds back in a natural language is what LLM is all about.
Yeah. So how and why is it being such an important factor that why we need to use it, we need to implement it in our day-to-day activities? Is one, it is more efficient; second, it is more accurate; and third, it's saving a hell lot of time of ours. So how can we use this particular utility to enhance ourselves? So just think of it like we have a colleague who has an IQ of around more than 90%, and we are just telling him to do all the routine activities, nothing smart enough. And versus we use this utility, which is a colleague of ours with a huge amount of IQ, more than 94%, who can help us do our task accurately and in a very time efficient manner, right? For an example, in our day-to-day lives, most of the financial reports or policies are way more than 20-24 pages of workload. I can just upload it and ask it to summarize and highlight the more important points that I need to understand, and it will give me a smart brief summary. Even if I ask for it, it will give me in less than 100 words, right? Similarly, we have multiple manual tasks that we do which are redundant, wherein we don't use any smartness or just like drafting a mail. So we can automate these workflows as well.
So, guys, let me ask this. How many of you are at this point of time using or have OpenAI or ChatGPT installed on your phone? And it could be anything. It could be Copilot, ChatGPT, Gemini. How many of you? Maybe Claude. You have if okay, Kurt. Yes, Abdullah. So quite a few. Yes, that's fantastic. So guys, for all those who are not yet using it, there's a lot more which you guys are which can be done using this in your day-to-day life. Just think about it. Most of us over here currently in this session are what we can term as knowledge workers. The white-collar knowledge workers. We in our day-to-day lives, we interpret a lot of inputs. We shut down the rule books. We process them through the rule books, and we generate output. This output could be in the form of documents. It could be in the form of reports, emails, intelligent insights, and the likes. Right? What if you have a powerful assistant working closely with you, doing these tasks for you in a quick and efficient manner? That could become so much more useful in your day-to-day life. If all of you have not yet started using either of these utilities for at least 1 hour in your day, you're missing out on a lot of potential that it can unlock for all of you. So simple tasks of even summarizing or responding to emails, drafting those emails, drafting contracts, summarizing contracts, generating reports and insights, interpreting Excel sheets. We can do all of these tasks in an extremely simple fashion. And nowadays, these LLMs are powerful enough to do that across a lot of different languages as well, with English being the predominant one. So, utilizing such tools, utilizing GenAI in today's corporate culture gives us a lot more flexibility and opportunity to utilize our time into into solving more complex problems, into addressing those important areas of focus, while taking away, at the least, while taking away the workload, or while releasing the time which gets involved into the day-to-day activities. So if not all of you are using them, at least by the end of the session, we would request that you start trying it out and you start using it. And if you want, maybe we can also have a small demo sessions across how to structure your prompts, how to extract the maximum out of it, right? During the session itself. Yeah.
Yeah. And also in the with the current advancements, it's not only buried till the textual prompts or textual inputs. Now we also have the feasibility for voice inputs as well as voice outputs, and even on a phone. So it becomes a fairly easy task and easy activity to do so. So I'll also be giving a demo of how we can use it through phone in the coming up sessions, slides basically. So yeah, so let's focus on RAG. So what we currently discussed more was in terms of the generic GenAI solutions, which are mostly trained on all the public available data. But the common factor or the common issue that we face, it's the answers that we are getting are not as per our company policies or are not as per what we are looking for. So RAG.
Yeah. So guys, think about it this way. Now, previously, if you were looking for any information, the general approach was to first Google it. Now, Google wasn't really, now what Google was doing was, it was fetching you the information from out there in the world. If anyone anywhere has written or mentioned anything about any information about the topic that you're searching for, it will try and get that for you. Now, the challenge, what the LLMs of the world today is basically doing is pretty much replacing the textual search in Google with a more contextual and conversational search using LLMs. But the challenge with this entire thing, and Kurt, this also circles back to your question, right? That as a product manager, how do you decide when to use RAG, fine-tuning, or prompt engineering when adopting GenAI solution in an organization, right? So what typically happens is, now a lot of you have pretty great organizations who have been into businesses for decades, collected a lot of organizational knowledge in terms of your processes, your policies, your documentations, your data sets. Now, these data sets could be anything. They could be your customer data, your transactional data, your process data, your turnaround data, your service responses and customer feedback, and any insights or information that you're looking for from any of this organizational data set, your data set. The LLMs will not be offering those responses. Why? Because these are data private to your organization. This is the data only you have access to. Now, if you're looking for an insight from any of this data set, the LLMs will not have access to this data, right? It will present you its view from the information available over the web, but not using the information which is available primarily and specifically only to you, right? So that is exactly where RAGs come into picture. Now, traditionally, on all of these organizational data set, if you had to find something, it could be a lot of manual tasks, either reading through all of those documents, or even if, let's say, for the sake of simplicity, even if it is an SQL database, even if it is a small SQL data, if it's an SQL database with lots and lots of content in there, and you as a business manager or you as a business decision maker are looking to extract some specific time, kind of a report, sitting in the evening, sipping a cup of coffee, and you have some insightful idea that, let me have a look at this kind of data set. What kind of insight can I get out of it? Now, would you be able to deep dive directly into the SQL database and extract that information? Probably for the more technical inclined who have SQL experiences of writing down queries, yes, but for others, they would have to run to an engineer, asking him to build that query, extract the report, give it back to you, and the likes. What if what RAG does basically is gives you that power to fetch and interpret and extract that information. And for doing that, you do not need to write those complex queries. You basically were already doing that when you're drafting a user story, or when you're drafting textually, what is it that you're looking for, and giving it to your engineers to extract data. So instead of giving it to your engineer, write down what is it that you're looking for, give it to the RAG model. It will connect with your SQL database or extract that information and present to you. What more? It will even present to you in the format you desire it to present. If you want it to be displayed in a graph, it will showcase it to you in a graph. If you want to see patterns into it, if you want to see diagrammatic representation of it, if you want to see cohorts in it, you can ask it and it will do that for you. And it will be conversational. So, RAG basically what it does is it democratizes your informational data and gives you direct access to it without going through a layer, without going through a technical moat, which used to exist earlier, right? So with the combination of LLMs, which understands and interprets your commands or your requests, and RAG, which forms the informational orchestration layer of extracting information and transferring it to you, your hitherto untouched insights in your database becomes accessible. And that's what RAG is all about. That is how organizations have been using it. It has been powering a lot of insightful discoveries within your own organization. And beyond that, you can also start using it to generate your own data. So one very interesting example of that is we recently worked with an automobile manufacturer, which has been into existence for close to a century, right? And they have been generating user manuals in more than 80 languages. But the task of generating those user manuals, now with today's connected cars, the user manual information and the DIY information gets published over the air, OTA, right? It lands straight into your car's infotainment box. But so there was a team of about 700 guys working constantly, interpreting those engineering design documents and manuals, converting them into user manuals. Then there is a team converting that into 80 odd languages and then publishing it. So what we did was we built a RAG solution on top of LLMs, wherein as an input, we fed all the historical manuals. Now, the reason for that is using that, we were able to segregate historical user manual information, extract the tonality of it. Now, every person, every organization has a certain way of communicating: professional, business-like, casual, semi-casual, use of certain type of anecdotes. Culture, it's a cultural thing and it's a personal thing. It's what gives a brand its persona, the way they communicate. So using RAG, we did interpretation of their tonality. And then we used an LLM, which used their engineering design documents as inputs, used the tonality, and then created these user manuals. And we had about a 90% straight pass-through rate. And the remaining 10% used to go through a moderation process before getting published. So there are really fantastic use cases. The limitation is only in terms of our creativity of what is it that we would like a RAG to do for us. And there's a lot more, which is still to be unearthed. It's an open world right now.
Perfect. I guess. And any questions on the RAG?
Okay, yeah, we have a question from Sumit. Does it involve use of more tokens and costing more if we develop and release an agent for a company? So, Sumit, that really is the underlying thing is the LLM that you are using. So if you're using a paid LLM, for example, OpenAI, ChatGPT, obviously it will involve tokens for them to be able to interpret your documents, interpret your context and content query, and respond back. An alternative to that is, and this really depends, from an organization to organization, your policies and the approach and the usage. You can even think about deploying your own open source RAG models using a combination of Llama and vector databases within your own premise. It will cost you hardware, by the way, but it will liberate you from the limitations of usage tokens.
Yeah, and just to add on it, so RAG basically tries to reduce the token usages, because what it does is whatever documents or metadata you have added, it does search on those particular documents, fetches that particular data, and then sends
Hashes
it
it.
to the LLM, which is why the tokens that LLM consumes are pretty much less than the
Lesser.
additional.
Yeah. So in traditional engineering terms, think about it as a cache layer, a Redis or Memcache layer. So you're retrieving information, and the more you retrieve, the cheaper it starts becoming. Dheeraj, great question. How do you go about handling hallucinations in RAG? See, the very purpose of RAG is elimination of hallucinations. Now, typically in LLMs, hallucinations happen because of two primary challenges. One is that it takes into account web sources, it takes into account open internet information, so which may or may not relevant in your use case. The other is sorry for that. So it takes into account the web sources. The second is it at times misidentifies context, right? So what RAG basically does is that when you're using RAG in combination of LLM, it starts, and when you're answering that question, when you're posting that question to the RAG, it starts fetching information from your organizational database rather than from the open web, which is what eliminates the chances of hallucinations.
Yeah.
Because it is fetching the information from relevant contextual knowledge or insight or data set, okay, rather than relying on global patterns.
Yeah.
Sumit, again, great question. If we turn off the web sources, will the output better or worse, as it's not taking sources from all over the internet? So that really depends on the nature of your query. If your query is, so let's say, let's have a small use case, okay, a thought. My organizational leave policy is my organizational leave policy. If I want to extract information about leave, if I have a query regarding leave policy, fetching information from the global web probably will not do me good. Fetching that information from that policy document is what will be more relevant. If you're talking about fintech, if there are any taxation policies, legal policies, fetching information from, let's say, government compliant to legal databases will be a lot more relevant as compared to the open world, because the open world may have opinion pieces, it may have derivatives of the legal clauses, which may or may not stand that is of law, right? So addressing the right source becomes important, but it's also the relevance of your query, which sort of pushes it in the direction of choice, whether to go to open web search or rely on only the information which is internal to you.
Correct. And just one more point to add on, web search is something that it will retrieve all the latest information, right? But whichever LLM we are using, it's been trained on certain amount of data sets, right? So even if you turn the web search off, there will be some sort of hallucinations if you are not implementing or using the RAG technique. I hope that's clear.
Yeah. All right.
So let's go ahead.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Perfect.
Guys, any more questions? Please feel free to keep on dropping in. Great questions.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a question from Dheeraj and Abdullah.
Okay.
If it's data from vector databases, we learn LLM to understand the context and then answer accordingly. In some cases, I've seen LLM. How do you handle? This is the context and answer. In some cases, Dheeraj, if there are any specific use cases where you've seen that happen, if you want, probably we can post this session, connect and explore, the specific scenarios and the specific nature of implementation which could have caused it. If you want, we can have a look at that. On a broader level, use of RAG predominantly reduces hallucination, is what we have observed in our practical use cases. Abdullah, question is, what does this mean for a database administrator? Does learning about RAG enriches them, or RAG is out there to do their work? Well, Abdullah, great question. Uh, well, a database administrator is not just about retrieval information, right? You're doing a lot more than that, my friend. You would be the custodian of the data set, protecting it. You would be backing it up. You will be protecting it. You will be ensuring preventing unauthorized accesses. What basically RAG does is take away a lot of your take away a lot of your edge time, which business leaders use, which business leaders would want you to get involved in extracting insights. Now, that's not something that database administrators were used to do. They were typically jobs of data scientists, typically in organization, who would look into data set, I try and identify patterns, try and identify insights from it, right? And RAG can do that for you. It can be like your personal data scientist who will help extract information from your SQL databases and present it to you. All right, yeah, guys.
Sorry, Parag. Yeah, just one more question from me again.
Yes,
PM question, so I'll leave it to you to address it. Yeah.
Sure. Aveer, you want to take up this question? How would you measure the improvement in reducing hallucination rates by using RAG?
So the measurement, yeah. So basically, the measurement is mostly in terms of what you can say, the feedbacks that we get, or the feedback that a system gets, considering whether LLM or a particular output is hallucinated is a humanly decision, because whatever data points an LLM receives is as per the data sources that we have attached to it, right? So whether the data or whether the RAG model is hallucinating or not, it's a personal opinion based upon the data factors or data sets that are attached to it. And we try to solve it using the feedback loops that we adopt to most of the RAG implementations that we do.
So typically,
you're
what we
referring
do,
to the thumb up, thumb down thing normally.
Thumb up, thumb down. Yes. Yeah. So it really depends in certain ways. So what predominantly we talk about is that in our enterprise implementations, for most of RAG implementations as well included, we sort of have a feedback loop wherein either via simple thumbs up, thumbs down, or through a contextual comment, users can elevate a certain response and give their feedback on it, so that it helps us to rework on the model, improve upon it, so that the chances of probabilities of hallucinations reduces.
Got it. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, there is, I guess, one more questions. We'll take this last one and then park the next questions for the rest of the
later part of the session. Yes.
Yeah.
But great questions, guys.
RAG helpful in extract data from vehicle TCU or cluster. So to be very frank, we can, as a cluster, it can be a database or a group of data lakes, right? So we can connect an agent that will access the databases and the clusters and get all the relevant data that we are looking for.
Yes, just to add to that, the TCU is sort of is an individual unit, right? I mean, within an individual vehicle. TCU would already be extracting information, let's say the hardware of TCU along with its underlying firmware would already be extracting vehicular data from its various sensors, different parameters. Now, I presume your question is that, as part of the workflow, you would also be transmitting this TCU data set somewhere in the cloud, if it's done at an organizational level, or probably within an app if it is being utilized by an individual. So I assume your question is towards, if at an organizational level, if thousands of vehicular TCU data is landing into a certain cloud database, then can we get insights into it? If so, yes, we can. Whether it's a SQL or a NoSQL database, RAG can be used to get implemented on that database, and then businesses can start extracting insights into it. I hope that was the direction your question was pointing towards. But if not, please kindly do share your feedback, and I'll try and address that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Perfect. So now we have a pretty much understanding of what RAG is, what LLMs are, so how we can adapt those on our day-to-day use cases. I guess Parag sir mentioned most of the use cases that we can do on an individual level. With, you can say, it can be our personal knowledge hub, it can be our research platform, learning platform, our guiding platform, a guiding mentor. So I'll more focus on how we can do it at a corporate level. So a small point, as Parag sir mentioned, we can feed all our corporate policies, compliances, and project documents details at a singleized data storage, which can be the memory for the RAG. And we can create a simple application very similar to any chatting applications and try and access all the necessary informations for comparison, for generation, and as well as for feedbacks, right? So developing a custom RAG, the advantages would be the data security. Whatever data points we have added on would be under our control. Whatever functionalities we want to add on would be under our control. Whatever integrations that we want to do, for example, a CRM solution, an ERP solution, or maybe some other processes that we are following, can also be automated using a custom RAG development. How this adoption is advantageous, because we will be saving a lot of time in manual research or manual document reading with some few prompts using the LLMs and the RAG. The compliance standards and the structures will be well documented so that there will be fewer errors. And the most important thing is time saving. Thousands and thousands of documents can be accessed only through a normal textual prompt. So if I have a query regarding what all my company policies are or what all my leave policies are, instead of going through the entire HR rule book, I can get answers to whatever questions I have at my end. Right?
And not just that, guys, you can be creative. Tens and decades, years of documented data, emails, user feedbacks. It can all be, it can all serve as a RAG data set, underlying RAG data set. It can start extracting the information from it. If you have a data set comprising of, let's say, user feedbacks, or if your support tickets, you might have received over the course of your years, thousands of support tickets from your customers. You can extract all of that information from your current support ticket mechanism, add it as a data set to RAG, and start asking relevant questions. If there is a certain pattern, what's your average response times? How the customer's overall emotional, sentimental feeling towards your communication is, the messages that they've been sending you. The possibilities around it, it's basically only limited to how much you can, how creative you can be with its usage.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
all right.
Yeah, these are some very basic sample use cases wherein we can increase our productivity, check compliances, risks. We can do a normal policy Q&A. We can also automate our report summaries. Most of the documentations that we have to do, even if I have a MOM that is written, I have a meeting that is recorded, I can directly attach it to the RAG and I can create a meeting notes because of the audio to audio functionality that we have. In terms of education, if anybody is there from the education sector, we can plan our education lessons. It can be a student assistant bot basically for all the students to ask whatever questions they feel they are difficult to. Considering the huge amount of data, we can also ask them how we can easily teach, how we can easily guide, and gathering feedback as well. So based upon the feedbacks that we can gather, we can add it to our system and we can actually tweak our lesson plannings accordingly as well based upon the overall classroom criteria.
So guys, one very interesting use case that we launched last year was for an organization which conducts trainings it was an agency which conducts training for organizations, right? These trainings could be in soft skills. These trainings could be on a specific topic, technical and non-technical topic. They would facilitate, plan the entire program, and conduct those training sessions. So even over there, the use case for RAG was that the raw content, knowledge content which was there, got uploaded into RAG, and then we used a combination of LLMs and RAG to make those, the raw content into a really interesting educational material, right? Taking the combination of your raw content of the program, combining it with global data sets and intelligence with the power of LLM, we created some really, really engaging educational material. So post that, basis feedback, we realized that the engagement rate of the users, during these sessions was a lot higher. I guess it was somewhere in the range of 72% as compared to what it was earlier, higher as compared to what it was earlier.
Yeah. And again, the reason was we also implemented the adaptive learning mechanism over there. So based among the quizzes that usually students give, the learning patterns changed on which particular portions we need to focus more on, and what all are the portions or guidelines that we can keep it on a very higher level and on an understanding basis as well. So yeah. So
all
yeah.
right. So guys, we have a small, very, very high level, very, very preliminary sort of a demo for you. It's going to be extremely easy for you to do this along us while you're doing it on screen. So feel free to join in the fun and start exploring it on your own as well. So what we'll be needing basically is two things, a ChatGPT or a Microsoft Copilot's account, and a document that you would like to talk to. It could be an Excel sheet, it could be a PDF file, anything, right? Aveer, over to you.
Perfect. So I'm just moving up from the presentation, and for the demo, most probably, I guess many of you must have used ChatGPT anytime in your experiences. So the current ChatGPT adoption has given a new feature called as project, right? In a project, what we can do is we can add some files, some metadata, some marking instructions, and which can be used as a RAG on a very, what you can say, basic or initial implementation level.
Personal level, yeah.
Or a personal level, correct.
So it's a good playground for you to start exploring what our RAG can do for you. We had a much more elaborate, more technical demo planned, which involved setting up your own vector database. But ChatGPT came up with this a few weeks ago, and we found it to be, very, very easy for all of us to get started on our RAG journey. So we thought, this makes a lot more sense trying it over here.
Yeah. So all of you are welcome to try along with me how to create a project, how to add files to it, and what all contextual data can we retrieve from it. So currently I've created 3 demo sessions. One is more focused on the EdTech, one on the FinTech, and the third is a normal, what you can say, a compliance policy sort of chat with Doc. Right. So let's start with the EdTech demo. I have added a file which is basically a science interactive textbook. It's a PDF. I can also add multiple files if you want, but currently pursuing to a demo, I've just added a file. And we can create a new chat just by asking, hey, what can you... Okay. So it already had a look at my file. Now, what all things?
That is summarizing it.
Yeah, it's just summarizing it of what all is it.
So let's do this. Let's pick one chapter or a topic out of this and ask it to. All right, guys. How about electricity and magnetism? That sounds fun. Yes, it's as fun for everyone as it is for me.
Perfect. So need to have a session on electricity and magnetism for the 6th grade. Okay. Can you help me with planning the session? So, considering the 6th grade, it will plan of how actually we can teach electricity and magnetism. So it will give us small warm-up hook, basically a small activity which will engage the students of 6th grade. Then the key concepts, what all hands-on explorations can be done, how to connect the dots, and how to again warm up it or a quiz game and exit questions, right? So it gave me a proper planning. Now, how to check if the students have understood the session? Can you create a small quiz, maybe of 5 questions? So it gave me a normal 5-question quiz, right? Now let's make it more interesting. Can I teach the same for a 4th grade student? Please make it impactful and easy and fun. So again, it gave me the overall concepts of how we can train it for a 4th standard or 4th grade student versus a 6th grade student. The 4th grade is more in terms of a fun activity or just showcasing or highlighting it, how the things change, more of a practical sort of things. Whereas the 6th grade is more in terms of the detailing out. So in terms of edtech, if you want to plan, if you want to create quizzes, or if you want to understand or find out what all outputs or what all planning I can do for creating this session, then this is a much more helpful tool. On the other hand of side, if I had to plan this without using this great tool, I'll have to go through the entire PDF. I'll have to read the lessons, which is I guess almost 10 to 15 pages, make down points, and then create a plan which would consume almost 2 to 3 hours of my day-to-day activity, right? So this, within minutes or within seconds, I got what all I need to teach. Similarly, in terms of fintech, a more detailed demo, I've created a small financial data set. It's a dummy data set in terms of investments that have been done in both male and female genders with their age and some general criteria of what sort of investments they do, what is the objective of their investment, and what is the likely duration, and how is the uh, what you can say, whether they are doing it for a retirement plan, health plan, and if they have any particular reasons for these particular investments, right? So it's just a small data set that I've created, open source data set. I have added it to this particular rack system, and now we can do whatever sort of question is that we want to do. Do you have any questions in terms of, if there are any financial users, any questions do you feel that is relevant or we can ask or experiment for this particular demo purpose? Please feel to drop it out in the chat box. We'll try and test these questions as well.
We can start with the questions that you may have thought of.
Perfect. Perfect. So just to start with,
I have a question. Can you ask? You have uploaded the file.
yeah.
Can I get a summary? What is this file about? Can you please explain what the file is about?
So yeah, it gave a precise summary of how many responses we have, what are the number of columns, the demographics, investment choices, behavior and preference, objectives. So right now,
And I really like that particular line. Basically, it captures who invests, where they invest, why they invest, and how they monitor it. Right. So let's have a follow-up question. Can they segregate it? Can you give them more insight as to why people invest? And guys, please keep in mind, it is actually taking the file that we uploaded earlier as its baseline context and dataset. So as per this file, 26 people have recorded their response that they invest for capital appreciation, 11 people for growth, income, specific saving purposes are retirement planning, healthcare, and education. Right? Can you ask it the age of the people who have invested for education?
just a moment.
Okay.
It's asking me for a new chat. Basically, I guess the free plan has hit my limits.
We have been using the free plan specifically because we assume a lot of you will be trying it out on the free plan. So
Okay.
how do you want to switch to the?
But okay, I'll just create a new chat here. I guess I can do that or no. Okay.
You want to shift over to your paid cloud account, maybe just to demo?
Yeah, I can switch to my paid account. Do the same activity.
While we're waiting, Parag, just a quick one. Because I've been actually using just uploading files and asking that sort of a similar question from the files in normal ChatGPT windows. How is this sort of a feature different from just you uploading a file and then just asking questions? Curious.
So primarily there are 2 or 3 advantages. First one being that you can upload multiple files and create sort of a file system for extracting information from multiple files and collating them together. The other is that when you create a project, any chat you can have multiple chats within the same project. And all of that, all the chats within that particular project will take the information uploaded within the project as its underlying context and data set. So that way, so if you have all the organizational data sets, let's say policy data sets in a project, then you can use it for specific chats, individual chats for individual tasks, and be a bit more structured in your how you go about it. So that's the advantage. Okay.
Yeah, the second advantage is, so whatever data or documents that we are uploading on the chat, specifically it has a context window amount. So post 6 hours or post 7 hours, whatever analysis or whatever instruction or data that they had retrieved from the document vanishes. Right, when it comes to project, so or whatever data that we are adding to this particular project is there until and unless we delete that particular project.
So the context persists.
So context persists. Right. So
yeah,
I'm just trying a different language model called as Sonnet Claude. I ask the same question. The answers will be a bit different.
Yes.
But
so every LLM, in fact, even in the same LLM, you would not always get the exact same response. They keep tweaking. It keeps on learning. It keeps on interpreting your behavior, and keeps on tweaking its response.
So now this is actually a paid version. So the analysis and the rest of the activities are being done in a more greater detail with more accurate sources as well as the fallbacks or analytics that we need to do. Right. Again,
how many of you have been trying this as we along the way? Is anyone actually trying it? I guess no one. Oh, Emmy. Any challenges, Emmy, that you're facing with this?
Yes.
Great. Good to know. Yeah, so this is the exhaustive output which Claude Sonnet generated.
So it also gave me the investment type that are there, the investment behavior patterns. So what were the year cycles where the users are investing?
The duration for investments.
Yeah, the demographics. So can you give me a compare
Quick question, guys. I mean, like the two models in terms of the way they frame or the way they're answering and everything could be different, but
Yeah.
there's some factual answers, right? Like the percentage or how many
Yes.
from a calculation perspective. From your observation previously, are the calculations on both models were like what's the accuracies like so far?
The calculations and the arithmetics stays true for both models. For most of our use cases. Yeah. It is just the way they interpret and present, So whether we are getting a summarized information or a much more insightful, that's model to model behavior, but the facts remain facts. Happy to hear that, Emmy. You tried out with 5 files. Rohan asks, can you fetch thread data 1 and thread data 2 chat inside project threads? I think, the data, yeah, Aveer, you want to answer that? Can you fetch thread data 1 in thread 2? I guess not, right? The data stays consistent because you're using the projects as the baseline for storing all of your data set.
Correct.
So,
But
yeah.
if you are adding more than 2 files, you can actually ask him of which particular file you need the data of. So
No, I think what Rohan was asking was if he has multiple chats within a same project, then any inference in one chat, can he transfer it over to the other? Rohan, that is where the context drops.
Yeah, so that again there is a feasibility of doing that, but it needs a paid model. So whatever analysis we have done, we have the feasibility to add it to our particular project. So if I create a document, I can add it to my particular project, but again, it will be the contextual memory that I have added to the project, not the chat at ease.
Not the chat itself, yes.
Yeah.
And also, there's a question from Ali as well. How much information?
Okay. Sorry,
can fit
I
into
missed
it?
that. Yeah. Ali, that's basically a function of how many tokens are consuming your data.
Yeah.
And then acting as a context.
Correct, but
So,
to give you some stats on the analytics part, if we are going on a free version of ChatGPT, the data size is 16 MB. If we are going on the Plus or Pro plan, the data size is 512 MB. And for a custom model, it's basically how much data we can store at our end. So it's hardware dependent, basically.
yeah. The only function is that probably for extremely large, let's say terabyte size documents, we would have to process that. The GPU will have to take a lot more time for the initial processing and setting up the context. But once done, yeah.
At using 5 files.
Yeah,
perfect. Okay. Yeah. So this is how even I asked a small question: what is the most invested type, right? So it gave the most invested type, how many people out of the particular rank invested in it, and again the percentages and where they actually put up the post money and rest of the activities along with the details. So yeah.
And guys, you can actually add multiple documents and get interconnected information, extract interconnected dependent information from all of those from a single chat prompt in a single window.
Just on that point, Parag, has that ever happened when, let's just say, if I like add multiple documents, but without me paying attention, maybe two of the documents having some, you can call it contradicting information. So how does RAG deal with that type of stuff?
Yes. So what we actually do in typical custom implementations for organizations, we also always provide the reference. So whenever we are fetching information from any of the documents, as a process, as a hygiene factor, we also give the reference from where this particular information was extracted. In our custom implementation. Why? Because then it gives the user the ability and possibility to go and cross-check it against the document, make sure it's valid. So because these things do happen, and it's not. I mean, and it has more to do with organizational memory. Probably different people working on the same aspect in two different verticals or organizational trees, and ending up having conflicting data, clauses, right? So it does happen. It's not, yeah. And so when that happens, then it becomes part of the feedback loop, right? So with the combination of references and and feedback, we get to know. So organizations can also get to know that, guys, these are two conflicting verdicts for the same query or the same situation.
That's really nice. Thank you.
So
yeah. So guys, sorry, Aveer. So guys, we are trying. It was a small Excel sheet of 40 rows, and across 3 questions, it has already sort of given us a week worth of insights and data to go through from. But that's the beauty of RAG. You can keep on having follow-up questions, diving deeper into it, just till you land on the information you're really craving for.
Got it. Hey guys, just given the interest of time, I think we've gone over a little bit, but I was thinking maybe just towards to the tail end, if you guys want to just have a quick kind of give everyone a bit of a peek of the customized sort of a version of the RAG model, so that everyone can visualize. If they do want to go deeper, harder on this is what could be coming after, or we can do a separate session or something later on. But
yes. Guys, I think the demo is pretty straightforward, as you must have read. We would recommend you all try it out today in your own sense and your own time. Fairly straightforward. Aveer, can you go to the next slide, please?
Yeah.
So then, in the interest of time, we are already beyond the designated time. Even we addressed a lot of questions along the way. So we talked about there was one question, use case for why to use a free plan. So this particular slide sort of tries answering that. For small personal usages, of course, you can go ahead with your own free ChatGPT version. For organizational level, multi-document, medium-sized documents use cases, we would recommend that you can sign up with the pro versions of the tools that you use. Now, there might be scenarios, compliance scenarios in organization where they may not be willing to share the insights or documents or data sets with a third party, a cloud-based third party, right? And it does happen, honestly, a lot more than we think about it, right? In such case, a custom RAG solution sort of makes the most sense, because then you get to internalize your learnings and your insights within your own organization while hosting your data yourself, while hosting your own RAG solution on your on-premise or your own private cloud, without the need of sharing your data with any of the third parties, like ChatGPT or Sonnet or anyone else. So that's where, and it also reduces your usage of tokens or your OPEC operational costs. It also takes care of the size limitations and concurrency limitations and the likes. So this is a small slide which sort of covers what could be, a broader level. What could be the right solution for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually true. A lot of organizations, they start off on the free or the ChatGPT versions, online versions, to test the waters. And once they start understanding the advantages that it gets, they eventually, most of them, shift to custom RAGs, because then they can do a lot more and a lot more insightful. Yeah. Yeah. So we can move on. So guys, typically your AI journey is basically, it's very simple. You just have to start making those first steps. Try and focus on at least using the online versions for, start with half an hour a day, at least for your routine tasks, mundane tasks, and keep on adding to your prompting skills and your usage cycles for more and more interesting use cases. And as we say, the usage is only limited by how you can think about using it. It's only limited by your own creativity. It's a very powerful tool. You can, definitely you should be using it in today's day and age.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'll also showcase them the future stages of how we can create a RAG using Langflow as a tool with some paid API token keys which we will require and how it actually works behind it. And I guess a bit more on the technical per se of it, right? So when we speak about a RAG, what we need to do is we need to add lots of R contextual memory to it. So a small workflow which has been developed using Langflow, wherein we can add multiple files. Considering the files are of huge sizes, we divide it into chunk so that we can store it in a structured manner. And with using an embedding model, which is an OpenAI embedding model, or you can use any embedding model if you want to. There are multiple options over here. We store all the embeddings into a vector database. Right. So what is a vector database? So vector database is typically the ASCII version of storing the entire records using the simplest and lowest methods of 0 and 1. Right. And how we can create a RAG solution is the retriever flow. So whenever we input and text, it goes into our embedding vector database, checks out the answer, parses the answer, and then creates a prompt for the LLM. This prompt is then sent to OpenAI, the LLM. It understands our data, it gives us the context, and it shares the chat output. So this is how a second stage, a bit complex RAG model is been designed. And to make it more complex, we can host it on Azure, we can host it on AWS, wherein we have all the bits and pieces, all of the internal technology that we need, the embedding model, the embedding retrieval, the embedding vector databases, how the prompts need to be cycled, when do we need the LLM to go to the vector databases, whereas when can the LLM answer on his own. So basically the entire orchestration can be designed as per the requirement and the use case. So yeah, that's it from my side.
Next slide, please. Yeah. So guys, just a bit about us. We are a 17-year-old organization as iProgrammer. I've had the privilege to work with really large enterprises across a lot of domains, some fantastic companies out there in Australia as well. We currently are a team of about 350 odd engineers across the globe. We have more than 500 plus clients, a few Fortune 500 clients as well, fortunately. We would love to hear back from you on the interesting use cases and and explore, how you go about painting the town red with AI and ChatGPT or Bragg for your business. And if along the way you need any assistance, any guidance, any consultation, or if you would like to just brainstorm your ideas with us, we would love to do so with you. Right? Yeah. So on this note, guys, please do start using AI. It's just a tool. In 1991, when Excel came, when Microsoft launched Excel, people were concerned that it will take away jobs of accountants. It did not. It just made their life easier. That's what AI is all about as well. It will make your life easier to start using it. So yeah, that's about it from our side. Any questions? Any more questions? Okay, I think Rohan is asking just a quick yes or no. Rohan, what would that be about? I don't think I find the context.
Yeah, I don't see there was a question though. Rohan,
Yeah,
feel free to ask if you have a question.
I think there's one from FT as a change manager and prompt engineer. That is a totally not. I wanted to say thank you for. Okay, thanks a lot.
That's appreciation. Hey,
Thanks, Valentina.
yeah, do you guys want to just to give them a quick sort of a that slides you were showing me earlier, that sort of a customized building flow. I don't know whether there's anyone sort of still want to see it or not, but just sort of a what that could look like. Assuming if they want to go down that customized rack building sort of a stage, I think it'd be good kind of a big peek. Do you want to?
Aveer, you can pull up the architectural diagram that you had.
Okay.
It's just for anybody here, because I know we have some
Yeah.
technical folks here. Just whoever thinking about or interested in potentially building some customized sort of rack models. This is something could look like just at a high level. We're not going to do some deep dive here, but we can have a separate session if you guys are interested in that deeper dive, more technical side. Yeah.
Aveer, can you pull up the architecture diagram?
I have already. Isn't it visible?
No, it's not. It's the slide.
It's because it's by now. Yeah.
Even earlier, probably, I believe you were referring to some other document.
Okay. Just give me.
No worries. Yeah. By the way, while Aveer is sort of getting the slides out, I just want to really appreciate everyone for staying back. I think, and also for Parag, Aveer, it's just the fantastic session. It's like 8:15. I think we've gone over by 15 minutes. We still have 42 people in the room. This virtual room, just showing how great the session is. So, thank you guys. It's been amazing.
Thanks a lot for having us, Kurt, on this particular session. It was fun for us as well. Some really, really great questions out there. It was. We ourselves enjoyed answering those.
There you go. I think this is right. So doesn't say like I don't think we have time to do a deep dive. I'll ask the community if there's a strong interest to do a more technical session stuff later on. I'm happy to invite you guys back. We can do a more technical session just for the technical folks. We can do a deeper dive on the customized version. But this is what it could be.
Yeah, we already have a lot of people agreeing to that. We'll be happy to come back and have that deeper session as well. It's fun. We can do that for sure.
Appreciate it.
So, I don't suppose anyone might have any query at this point, looking at the document. But if at all any high-level initial thoughts or questions, feel free to shoot it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you, FT. Appreciate it. This is what I love to do. By the way, we're gonna have another session in 2 weeks. That one is also very interesting. There's the startup guy, so he's actually building a new protocol, possibly trying to compete with MCP. But I think I don't think it's gonna really compete. I think they're gonna go for a different angle from MCP perspective. So just on this. Watch out for that session. I'll be publishing that session very shortly. And I think once again, Parag, Aveer, thank you for joining. This has been amazing. I'm pretty sure I will invite you guys back again for a more technical, the customized version of the RAG model. That might not be for everybody, but I think this is actually amazing. I think a lot of people don't know what RAG is or want to have some more ground level understanding, some takeaways. Please, guys, start to use it tonight. This is really, really awesome stuff. Thank you. All right. Have a good night, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Stop the recording now.